Hello everybody and welcome to a brand new Gentech PC product showcase. Today we're going to be covering in a brand new full-length feature review the brand new MSI GT83VR. This is one of the most powerful laptops currently on the market, and as such we're giving it extra time. We have a very long and detailed review for you guys today. So this is going to be the high end of the high end with the dual NVIDIA GTX 1080 GPUs. As we get started on a review, we'll go ahead and kick things off with the unboxing. So as you can see, as we're unboxing, we do get a book bag included with this. It's one of the extras since this is a very high-end premier model. We have the double boxing technique being used, so the inside box has all of our artwork and all the hardware. The outside box is just there for shipping purposes and extra protection. On the back we have many different little notifications of some of the features and highlights of this laptop. We'll go ahead and get that box cut open and show you what you get inside. Alright, so as we crack open the inside box, we can start pulling out all the other goodies. First thing is going to be a smaller inside box. This is going to be our accessory box that contains our power supplies. As in plural, with an S on the end. We actually have two power supplies. This laptop has so much power and hardware that it actually requires more power to power it. So this first piece here, this is going to be the single power cable that goes into the laptop with a dual input. Alright, so let's go ahead and put that accessory aside and get out one of the power supplies for you. So this is a fairly large power brick, and they are currently tethered together so that we have both of them going into the dual power dongle. Here is a close-up of the power information. If you do the math on the amperage here times the voltage, you get about 330 watts of power. And that's per power brick, so that's going to be 660 watts of total power. Alright, we have a few more compartments in the accessory box that we got to dig into. On the left hand side, this is where we're going to have the cables for the power bricks based on your region's power supply. Over on the right hand side is where we're going to find our warranty information and driver's discs. And that empties out the accessory box. Let's go back into the main interior box. So the last item is going to be the laptop. As you can see, it's very well protected. We have the foam inserts on the edges that keep it from getting bounced around or crushed. And then we have a protective sleeve over the laptop itself that is there to help it from getting scratched. Alright, here's the first reveal of the MSI GT83VR. Alright, so one of the first things we'll cover about this laptop is going to be the unique power adapter situation. So we have the dual power supplies that are tethered together, and they're going to go into the little adapter that will splice them back together into a single cord to plug into the laptop to charge it and run it on main power. Now the weight and size of the GT83 is going to be a big thing, of course, with a big laptop. We have 6 pounds and 9 ounces of weight with just the power adapters by themselves. Alright, moving into the GT83 itself, this is going to be a 18.4 inch diagonal laptop, so it's a little bit larger than your 17-inch laptops. Gives you a little bit more screen space, and it helps accommodate the extra hardware. As far as the weight of the laptop, throwing that on the scale, we have 11.7 pounds as far as weight. Okay, with the weight out of the way, let's get into the scale. So we have a penny over here for a scale, and we're going to get the tape measure. You can see that we have the wedge shape where the rear comes up to a little over 2.5 inches, and the front is closer to 1.5 inches. So pretty good difference. It's a pretty strong wedge shape to accommodate the cooling system in the back. And we'll move it into our system BIOS now. So let's go through our features on here. At first glance at some of the hardware, you can see that we have PCI Express Samsung disks in there. The Intel VTX technology for using with virtual machines. And we'll just keep tabbing through these options here. All in all, it's a pretty basic BIOS. It doesn't have anything super unique, such as overclocking or anything outside of the ordinary. For the most part, you'd only come in here if you needed to change from the EFI or legacy boot settings, if you have a specific way you prefer to set up your system. And that pretty much is all we'll find in the BIOS. So we get one early glance at benchmarks, and that's going to be our boot speeds. We are of course running on solid state disks, so we have a very fast drive access speed here. From a cold boot to a fully loaded Windows environment, we're looking to get into the operating system in about 24 seconds. Alright, so now we've got everything powered on, we can start taking a look at all the glamour. We do have a nice thin LED backlit LCD screen here. We have plenty of lighting and accents. As far as the color, it's black and red. We have that 18.4-inch screen, so plenty of screen space. We have the touchpad on the right hand side. This works as the number pad. And our touchpad, we can toggle that on and off. We do have dedicated left and right click buttons down below that. Up above that touchpad area is where we have some of our feature buttons, such as the fan speed and power button. And then up above that we see a few of the advertisement badges. We have the Intel sticker and of course the killer wireless and SteelSeries keyboard and all the other great features built into this. And while we're in the area and we have the turbo fan turned on to a manual setting, we'll go ahead and take a quick volume check on that. With that feature disabled, the fans go back to their normal cooling speed, and you can see how the volume level dropped pretty significantly. As we continue to wait a little bit longer, you'll see how the volume levels keep dropping even more as the system comes down to a stable state. Alright, so let's swing over here to the top right hand corner and take a look at our features. On our sticker badge here we have the NVIDIA GTX 1080 SLI, Super Rage 4, Dynaudio speakers, the killer network stuff, plenty of cool stuff built into this laptop. You can see the awesome dragon design that's kind of etched into the chassis there. Our speaker system of course is brought to us by Dynaudio. That's a really great speaker system in all of the MSI units. Of course this one's going to be no different. And now let's talk about that really cool keyboard. So this is brought to us by SteelSeries, and it's not the very first laptop that features this, but it's one of the very few that has a full-blown desktop gaming mechanical keyboard using real Cherry MX switches. So the type of switch we're using in this one is going to be the Cherry MX Brown, which is a really great middle ground switch that most people will really like. Unlike the blues, it doesn't give you all that clicky noise. Now moving up above our screen, we have our integrated HD webcam. Alright, so that pretty much covers everything in the immediate front area. Let's go ahead and sweep around to the sides and look at all the connections and interfaces that we have available. Alright, so running through the left hand side, we have an optical drive. This is a full-blown Blu-ray drive. Down below we have a Kingston lock port, a 3.5mm connection for the hi-fi headphone output, an SD card reader, 3 USB 3.0 ports, an optical audio output, and 2 more 3.5mm connections, one for your standard headphone and one for your microphone. Now as we get over to the rear hand side, we see a little bit of the patterning for the red and black. Huge exhaust vents, and we have a lot of hardware that has to get cooled. 2 of the highest end video cards. Near the center we do have some connections here. We have from the right to the left, we have the RJ45 for the networking, then we have our power port, an HDMI output, the USB-C, and then we have the mini display port. So the USB-C is actually running the Thunderbolt connection. Continuing on around to the other side, a lot less over here. We have one of our major air intakes, and we just have 2 lonely USB 3.0 ports. So with the lid shut, we'll give it a few more spins around so you can take a look at the GT83VR from all the different angles. And there she is. Alright, so here's some nighttime shots in the dark. We got the LED backlighting behind our mechanical keyboard. We do have our number pad illuminated when it's in number pad mode. Of course, if we put it back into the touchpad mode, that goes away. Very bright and crisp screen. Alright, so let's jump inside the operating system now and look at the device manager and look at our hardware. We see we have our dual NVIDIA GTX 1080s on there. We have Realtek PCI Express card reader. We have our TPM module. Lots of other things like that. The monitor panel is going to be the SDC4C48 if you want to look that up as far as the detailed specs. It is a 1920 by 1080p screen, so it's not super high resolution, and it does have a standard 60 Hz refresh rate. Alright, so let's move into the NVIDIA control panel. You see that we do have our SLI options. Currently it's turned on in maximize 3D performance mode, but you could of course turn it off. You can also use the physics settings. Alright, moving into another piece of software, a quick look at the MSI Dragon Center. This is just like your go-to piece of software from MSI to control and monitor your system. So we'll just briefly tab through some of these features in here. As we start moving into our benchmark territory, here is the first one of those. This is the Crystal Disk Mark score for our C drive. That's our SSDs. As you can see, that's very fast read and write speeds. Alright, now we've got the gaming benchmarks running. We'll go ahead and go back to our fan noise here with the sound meter. The fans are on auto right now, so this is the speed the system has determined the fan should be at to keep it cool. So with the way that this benchmark works, the best way to determine whether or not this is a loud or a quiet system is just to go check out a few other reviews where we've done the same test and just compare similar laptops to each other and see if one is particularly loud or quiet versus the others. And that's the best way to get the general idea. Alright, let's go to the back side. This is going to be the exhaust area. Alright, now moving into our next test, it's going to be the thermal temperature testing. So as you can see, we have a new piece of kit. No longer are we using our infrared thermometer, we now have actual heat vision. So let's go ahead and use our FLIR and look around. So what we're looking for here is hot spots. Anywhere that your hands would be touching, that would be bad because that would be heat coming into your hands. It would make you feel uncomfortable and possibly sweat. Where you do want to see heat is going to be the exhaust. If you see a lot of heat coming out of the system, that's a good thing. It doesn't mean it's running hot. It means it's actually not running hot because it's getting rid of that heat. So all of our temperatures are looking good so far. Alright, so that should just about wrap up the thermal testing, and our benchmarks are just about to finish up. So we'll get to those scores. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, here we go. This is the 3D Mark Fire Strike. We got a score of 20,367. A really high score. Of course, you expect that on this laptop. It is the top of the line. Down below is the GPU Z information on one of the NVIDIA GTX 1080 video cards. A massive 8 gigabytes of GDDR5 video card RAM on those. And here are some very important temperature scores. So the CPU got into about a 90 degrees Celsius range on our maximum load. And the video card was also shy of 90 degrees at 86 degrees Celsius. So those temperatures are actually pretty good. They're not the coolest we've seen as far as all across the board, but for very high-end CPU and GPU scores, those are very good. The other GPU got to 90 degrees Celsius, so pretty close to the other one. Okay, so another sound test. Here's going to be the speaker system, so I'll be quiet and let you guys hear the noise. Alright, so the speaker systems are doing great. Let's move on to the next segment of our review. Alright, so it's time for us to move into the final segments of our review, and that's going to be the disassembly of our laptop. First thing is a focus on the warranty sticker at the bottom. Just a quick heads up that this is a warranty sticker, so if you were to break your warranty sticker, you would break your warranty, so don't do that until you're out of warranty. Now, as far as disassembly, we're going to start with just 2 screws, the ones that are labeled here by the Dynaudio speaker output, and the top corner over here. These have the little RAM icon, so that's how we're going to take the top panel off. So once you get those 2 screws out, flip it over, and remove your top panel. So this is also a really good time to mention to anybody who does want to do any kind of upgrades to the system that we do have a customized ordering process, and you can upgrade anything you would like or change anything you'd like on the system during the checkout process, and it will be covered under warranty because we are certified to do that for you. Now, as far as what you get under this top bay, we have our mechanical 2.5-inch drive, and we have 2 of our system RAM slots. Here, as we get this aluminum up, this is going to let us get over to our SSDs in the M2 form factor. It's also got the optical drive, which is our Blu-ray drive. Alright, so that's pretty much all we got here as far as the hardware goes. System feature wise, we do have our Dynaudio speakers there at the top. And we'll move into our next step of disassembly. So we're going to go to the rear hinge assembly next. So close down your LCD lid and snap up the hinge covers. This is where we're going to get to some of our antenna connections. And now we're getting into our detailed disassembly. At this point, we've removed all the other several small screws so that we can take the bottom plate off. Alright, brace yourselves. Here we go. Alright, so as you can see, it's not really as crazy under the hood as you might have expected. It's a pretty plain looking setup at first sight. The first thing you might catch your eye is in the center we do have 2 more system RAM slots. If we were to swing over to the bottom left corner, this is where we have our internal battery. We'll zoom in and let you get a little bit of information on that battery. A BTY-L78 14.4 volt battery. So we have a very big cooling solution on this laptop, of course. Huge fans. We have a left and a right fan responsible for our video cards, because each video card has its own fan. Then a smaller fan that takes care of our CPU. So the next step for us in disassembly is going to be taking out all of the screws responsible for holding that stuff in place, and we'll take up our cooling solution and eventually our video cards. So with the magic of video editing, we have jumped forward in time to show you a destroyed laptop. So this is what happens when you take it all the way apart. You can see it's quite a few screws. We do have thermal paste. We also have thermal pads. So it's pretty intricate, but really well designed. So with our cooling solution picked up, we can go ahead and now get to our video cards underneath. And here they are, each in their own MXM slot, easy enough to get to and remove. And this is the NVIDIA GTX 1080 GPU. Alright, so we just want to stop and say thank you to everybody who took the time to watch our full-length feature review of the MSI GT83VR. If you're interested in this laptop and you'd like to check out the current pricing and availability and view the full product specs, then feel free to click on the link down below in our description for the product page. and you'll find all of that information and more. Now, if you have any other questions that our video didn't answer for you, then feel free to ask us down below in the comments section. We'll answer those questions for you and everybody else all in one shot. But of course, if you have any personal questions you want to ask us one-on-one, then feel free to contact us by phone or email. So we just want to remind everybody once again that this video is brought to you by Gentek PC. We appreciate you viewing, and we'll see you guys next time.